Hello and welcome back to Railroads Online. Uh, First things first, I've got to address the elephant in the room. You guys, whether you've subscribed or not, have spoken with the views. A bumpy ride, I think, is going to end up in the rotation. I'm only going to do 20-minute episodes of it at a time. Well, 20, 30, maybe 40. It's going to be less than an hour either way. Um, that way I can get it uh, filmed, edited, and scheduled for release quickly. Um, this episode of Railroads Online, we're gonna be working on the remaining portion of the line. We're gonna come out here and we're gonna come out here and we're gonna figure out how we're going to connect the oil field and the refinery up to the rest of the line. So let's take a quick look out here, see what we need to do. Because I am pretty sure that our rail line is going to need to navigate some hills. And since our oil refinery, I do believe it's the refinery, is over here, and it is, this is the refinery, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to get over that rise in the terrain. So let's take a look here real quick. We may be able to come in from that side, but I'd rather not if we can avoid it. I'd rather have more of a straight shot than anything. So we're just kind of looking over in this area, see if there's kind of a dip that we can use, but I don't think there is. I think we might have to play it like we did uh going up toward the smelter and just run around and around and around, which looking at how flat this is, that probably wouldn't be too big of an issue. Um, let's see what it looks like from the ground, how high up it is. Yeah, that wouldn't be. This is all flat ground right here. This is all, if I'm not mistaken, it's level with the line over there. So we go up maybe 2 or 3 levels and cross over. So we'll run a branch line, I think, to the refinery. We'll run a branch line and we'll have it connect back in somehow. So let's go over here. I'm looking at this as we're going, and it looks like we may have a little bit of a climb. So we may snake our way back and forth through all of this. We may have to work our way up through this little valley right here. And how picturesque would it be to go through this little arch here? That would be something. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. That may just be set decoration for us. So where is the oil field? It's off in that direction, I think. Yeah, it's off in that direction. So let's see. We can bring our main line up and around in a number of different uh, places and a number of different configurations, I should say, in different locations. So we've got an option to run it through there. We've got an option to run a longer line through here where I'm at now. And we come back over here. And it looks like if we run through over here, we'll have to come back down somehow. And we've got ourselves a nice little area for a yard and a service center and all that good stuff right here. So that's nice. And of course, we have the option of not running a main line between those two at all and just coming over here and running with the contour of the map and just running a line over to our yard. Now that would be probably the easiest thing to do, and we can arrange it to where we have a line coming into the southbound side as well as one going out of the northbound side. Well, the northbound side will probably be a little bit easier to do. We'll have to cross over or figure something out. Uh, well, actually, the southbound side would probably be the easiest because we could come around and connect it right in this area, and then northbound we'd have to figure out how to work it up and around. But we'd work it up and around and back down so that it ran parallel with uh, with the other track. We could also uh, completely redesign all of this in here, including the reversing spur here, so that we've got a Y in here, so that we've got southbound coming through, we've got northbound coming out, and we've got the line in. Now, technically, we don't need, because we don't have anything, if I'm not mistaken, we don't have anything going up here. Yeah. We don't have anything going up here, so we really don't need anything um, to go further south than the yard. So our connection point for this portion of the line is going to be over here. Absolutely for sure. It's going to be over here. So, how do we want to do this? Because whatever we do, if we put a connection point in over here, which was what the original plan was, uh, we're going to have to redo this line again, which I've done multiple times already. But it's not necessarily terribly inconvenient to do that. We've got to do it in such a way as we can uh, loop around and do what we need to do to get everything to connect. So, because we've in this area right here, we've only got the one uh, inbound switch. Now, what I probably could do is run a switch out with a 45 and have it come back in over here. Now, that wouldn't be too outrageous, and we've definitely got the space to do it. So we can try that. In fact, let's go ahead and try that. I want to see if it will work, because we've got this area right here that we can run a switch off of, and it's clear over. So let's see what we can do. I know I've got this hill right here, but I'm reasonably sure that we may be able to work with that. So let's see, because we really only need our switch to be right here, right in this area here, because this is the southbound line, that's the northbound line, so we really don't even need to cross over to the northbound line if we can get some sort of switch worked in down here after we've crossed over everything and run back in, which will probably mean redoing this spur here, this third line here that just ends off over here. Now that won't be such a bad thing. We'll just move it over a tiny bit and it should be okay. And then we can run a switch in right here. So let's go ahead and do that. I want a left hand, and we're going to connect it right here. Okay. So we want the left hand just for the curvature, and we want it right here. So that's, well, we don't necessarily need to do that, but we do need to get rid of that to even off the line. And we can bring this even by doing this. I think that's what I want. I want a left hand throw. So let's see. Yes, that's what I want. Okay. So we'll put that in right there, and that should be, oh, would you look at that? I didn't need to do that after all. Okay, that works. Oop, there we go. My num lock on? Yep, okay. So let's go ahead and put that back in. That's fine. Okay, we didn't need to change that at all. But we will need to change the southbound line a little. And that's perfectly okay. We'll deal with that when we get to it. We're going to have to do the same with this anyway, so no problems there. We can take care of that when we get to it. And we'll just go ahead and take that out, and just for good measure, take that out. Okay. So we've got our crossover point here. Huh. Okay, well, I guess I was gonna put the 45 in there and put the switch in, but you stop and look, and I didn't even realize that I'd done this. I screwed up in a good way. We no longer need that 45 because here's our loop, our crossover point that we're going to go out and around, hopefully build up enough height that we can do it, or at the very least come out a ways that we can get a 90 or a proper crossover put in somewhere over here for both lines. And then we'll come back around and work our way back up. Excuse me. Okay, so this is going to be a thought process, and it's going to take quite a while. So please bear with me. I've got to figure all this out as we go. As per normal, actually. So we have the one line. That one line coming off of there will be, I think, when it crosses over the main line, I think will probably be our best option. Is to our best option will be to have just one line and then split it out into two lines as it goes up the valley there. So how do I want to go about doing that? we'll put a piece in here, and we're gonna actually just we're gonna do that. It's gonna disappear here in a minute. Because like that, we need to get this back down on level ground. So let's go ahead and put our 1% grade in and just get it, whoa, just get it to where it matches up. Okay, let's not. There we go. Put our curvature in as best we can. So that looks like it's about right. And we will, yeah, that's going to be, unless I want to do something like that, which I really don't. So that'll be okay. Go. And we want -1% grade. We'll put it right there, get rid of that. And we're almost back down to ground level. How's that? So go back over here to our 1-meter ballast and do this again. And we'll come right to about, now we'll come up, we'll come a little further up. And I'm actually going to tighten this radius now. No, I'm not yet. We've still got that reversing spur that we've got to contend with, which I'm very likely going to have to start the curve somewhere back here in order to get it to match up. So, let's see. Huh, okay. Are we on a hill? Yes, we are. So I want to see where we are not on a hill with this curve. Huh. Okay, so it's just a small hill here. Where are we not on it? Right there. Okay, let's put this. Whoa, okay. Well, I mean that'll work, but it's a little tight. We'll do this. It'll bring us a little further out than I'd like, but we can do that. And start our way back around. Maybe we can get it to connect at a 90 right here, if I'm lucky. Probably not very lucky, but we'll see. I didn't go very far out. Well, we could do a 90, but it's an awful tight curve. Not really worth trying. Picked a bad place to try this, didn't I? Hmm. All right, well, let's do it this way then. Continue with our tighten up that curve a little bit. Bring it right to about there. Then we're going to go out and around. Okay, there we go. Back down here on the ground so I can see where it actually intersects. So we want to go right about there. Even our grade out. And come back around. Now, this kind of thing does happen in real life. There's some very interesting, very interesting uh, lines all around the United States. Why do I have to bring that back up? I just got it down to ground level. Now, let's see if we can't. Yeah, there are some very interesting uh, rail lines all over the United States that they just have some interesting properties to them. You get see this kind of stuff all the time. Okay, that's getting ridiculous. We go back down, back up. Come on. So we'll do it this way. We'll continue on with our curve for a little bit. 90-meter curve here, and we'll just continue on for just a tiny bit of time, and then we'll bring it back around as the sun goes down already. See if we can't make that work. We can, but just barely. So let's do 85. 75, I should say. See if we can come down here and see what we're doing before the sun goes down too far. And the answer is a resounding no. So I will be right back once the sun comes back up. Alrighty, I am back. It's still just a little bit too dark to see, but I got to thinking about something while I was sitting there waiting on it. And I've got my day-night cycle turned down as far as it can go, so we're doing as much work as we can. We've got 30 minutes of daylight and 1 minute of night, but I'm going to go ahead and click that there because it keeps getting further and further off. I got to thinking about this, and we may have just a little bit of difficulty getting it back around, but I'm going to see what I can do about making that happen once we do the crossover. And we're going to have to do at least 2 crossovers. So let's see here. Back up 1%. And we're still climbing, so that's good. Let's dang it. There we go. Let's do 80. And let's go to right about there. See what it looks like. We're buried. Dang it. All right. Try that again. Back to our 1 meter ballast. 70 instead. Yeah, that's a little better. Still pretty deep right there, but give it just a touch more. Stop it early and send it back down. That way we can actually get on the ground before we get to where we need to be. Now I'm going to drop in a couple of 45s once I figure out roughly where I want to go. I'm going to see how well it works. So let's go over here to our crossovers. Now we've got 45 without ballast, 45 with snow without ballast, 90-degree without ballast, and 90-degree without ballast with snow. We're going for the 45. I want to see how far off we really are. And that ain't far off. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give ourselves 2 of those and just going in like that. And we will get that worked out. So let's go in with our 45 here. And actually, it should let me do what I want to do there. There we go. Nope, that's not it. There we go. That's what I want. And I want to connect that right there. So we'll have to spread that out just a little bit and reconnect it down there, but that's what we want to do ultimately. So let's go ahead and reconnect ourselves here. See if we can't get a good connection here. Actually, what we could do is come around just a little bit further. See how that works. Right there, because we can't get it to go as far as we want it to. 1 meter, whoops, 1 meter ballast. Right there. And bring it around. Now, that'll work. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but it will work. And we can make it line up and everything. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Okay, so let's get rid of this rock right here. I need to put my glasses on. That's not a rock, it's a puddle. You gotta love a screen that's just blurry enough that no resolution you try is gonna make a dang bit of difference. So let's go ahead with 1 meter. Open it up. Let's do right there. 1 meter, 0.5%. 1%, 0.5%, that kind of thing. Okay. Get rid of that. Let's see what we can do here. Now this does mean that our reversing spur is going to be quite a bit more rounded than it was. Well, that actually doesn't look too bad. Yeah, that can work. Okay, so we'll do that. That works all right. Yeah, that means our reversing spur is going to be quite a bit more rounded, but we can actually bring it out quite a ways. And it'll be fine. So let's get rid of this and the whistle sign, which we're going to put back in here in a second. And we'll come in here with our 1 meter ballast and we will connect this back up. Now see, this particular little section of track does not matter as much in terms of height placement because we're going to be connecting it in anyway, like we just did. So let's go ahead and put that whistle sign back in. Line up with the rails, so let's go ahead and put it right there. And there we have our crossover. Now I will go ahead and reconnect those, see if everything works out the way they're supposed to. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it doesn't bury anything, which would suck. Just mean more work for me. And we'll call that good. Now what we can do, as a matter of fact, is we could come in, because this is long enough, we could put a passing line in up to this, up to a certain point, which we've got another switch here that we can do that with. So, I mean, that's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I don't really think that it's going to make that much of a difference because we are going to be splitting it back out once we get past a certain point over here where we can actually do that. But we're going to have to run one line through here just for sake of being able to keep everything at ground level for the time being. So let's go ahead and run this around. We'll get it connected back up. It's going to be quite the climb. Let's do this. Okay. So let's see. Actually, I want to utilize this tool a little bit. So we're going to see. What kind of gradient do we have over here? 0.5%. Now that's markedly easier. Okay. So that's how that tool works, and I found that out a little while ago. I just haven't had a real good opportunity to use it. So we're going to go ahead and go back in, and we're going to reconnect that line right here. It's going to look a little weird. Um, yeah, it's gonna look a little weird, but it will work, and that will give us exactly what we need. So let's go ahead and redo this. With my 1 meter ballast, and come around. I will put ballast on those crossovers here in a little bit. It's not exactly the most important thing at this exact moment. So we want to come in right here, and we will start our curve around. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be uh, insanely um, yeah, me and words. It doesn't have to be insanely perfect. So all it needs to do is follow in and it'll be fine. So actually, let's see. Let's see what we can do about matching it up to that. We're not going to use that. That's just there for the curve. Let's see what we can do about matching it up with that. We want as gentle a curve as we can get. Doesn't look like we're going to get it. Okay. So let's come out just a little further then. Let's do that. And we're going to keep this as level as we can for as long as we can. I mean, ultimately, I do think that we are going to have to. Ooh, that lined up real nice. Ultimately, I do think that we're going to have to. Sorry, I'm thinking here. Ultimately, I do think that we are going to have to raise or lower the gradient to get over hills and whatnot. But it should be okay in the long run. So we can come out and open this back up a little ways because we are now, yeah, just like that. We're now floating right alongside the track here. Just like that. More or less. Whoops. Go ahead and shut that down just a touch. I think we were using 120. So we'll keep it with that. I wish when I clicked on the link it would actually do it. Okay, so let's come back around here. Go. So want to go to right about there. And since this track is not going to converge with this other line. It's not really necessary to have it perfect. It would be nice to have it where it needs to be, but it doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. And that would probably be why I'm not moving very fast. There we go. All right, let's go to right about there. Yeah, get it right about there. It starts to widen back out, and I think that's plenty long enough for what we're wanting to do. So we'll go ahead and put our bumper stop back in. And lay down, well, we don't really need to lay down some ballast right there, but we will over here. Just for the sake of making it look nice. Even though we really don't need to, it'll just make it look nice. Oops. Looks like it wants me to go the wrong direction here. All right. Now we can do it. There we go. Yeah, so you can't really even tell there's any ballast there. But we know it's there, and that's what's important. Okay. So that's done. That will work. Get higher up, you can see it. And we've got our bumper stop and connects into the main line so we can head over to, we can do southbound and northbound from that switch because we have crossover further up here. And this is where southbound goes. And we can run northbound. I do believe we've got a crossover over here. Well, we do not. But considering that nothing's going to be coming from that side of the map anyway, I think we'll be okay with just having it run right into the yard. So that will work. All right. So let's see what we can do about getting this loop closed off over here. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a little bit better of a radius here. Let's do 20. We'll go down 1% right there. Continue on. Should even itself back out. Let's go ahead and, yeah, see, it's already starting to dig back into the ground. And I'm going to try and avoid those cacti as best I can. So that's nice. We can actually level it out as we go, and it should be fine. Yeah. Just about perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to level this off. Or straighten it out, I should say. Thinking ahead of myself here. We're a little bit too high. Dang it. All right. Let's try that again. I think we had like a 120 or something like that. Doesn't matter. I'll make it line up again. Okay. Ah, 240. Okay, that's no big deal. All right, so let's go to right about there. Whoops. And we will level ourselves off. See, it almost immediately dives right back out of the ground. So we will cut it right there. And that's not going to bother me. So let's bring it out just a little bit. We don't want to go too far into the hillside here. Take it, straighten it out there if we can. And we can. And we'll leave it there. And that will be the point where we split it back out. Everything up to that point will be one line. So let's take a look real quick, see how we want to do this. Because if we do it right, we can have a short line over there, and we can just make that a loop, where the more efficient line would be to go the long way around, but we can have a second shorter line specifically for the trains coming into and out of the refinery and the oil well. So we've got to consider our goods here. It looks like it all goes right through the center of everything. So we've got that going for us. We've got an area back here that looks large enough we could put a loop, a double track loop around. And it looks like, unless I am very gravely mistaken, and it does look like I am, I was going to say we could have it come in here and go around, go around, come back, and go out. But what we can do, depending on where these fill up, it looks like we could have fill on either side, which is fine. That's going to be a line in, or deliveries. That's going to be taking it out. So we can have a small yard over here just for tank cars. We can have a small yard right in here. We can have a small through line over into this area. We could put a small town, a service station, all that good stuff in there. So that looks like a fairly reasonable situation. Let's see where everything hooks up. Okay. So it looks like it only hooks up on that one side, which is... Oh, how about that? We got two lines here that we can do. That's good. So we've got that going for us. Let's go ahead and hook these up. I don't know if we can get rid of these scrubs or not. Oh, we can. How about that? And they make the same sound of the rocks. How about that? You wouldn't think they would, but they do. Where is it? Is it on this side? I would hope not. Ah, there it was. Okay. And right there. Oop. And we'll just connect them. Because I don't know for sure if any of those... Well, that's nice and straight, isn't it? I don't know if any of these lines actually... I don't know if it matters if they're connected right or not. I really don't like it when it does that, but what can I do? Now, what can you do? So it looks like we can get possibly two, maybe three lines in there. We could put a yard in over here, put a yard in over here, and have a loop running out and around. And that'll work. We can split it off, have it go up over there, and have it go down over here. So let's start with that. We're actually going to make this load line separate from the actual inbound, which is going to be right next to it. So let's do that. And since this is going to be largely straight up until this point, let's go ahead and go right about there. Even it off so that we don't bury the switch. I have found out that does make a difference. We want a left-hand switch with a right-hand throw. Get the right node here, and boom. Just like that. Oh, for Pete's sake, that phone never stops going off, I'm telling you. And we go right there. And we can start turning in immediately after that switch. Otherwise, we're not going to make it around anywhere. Whoa, that's tight. Okay, that's no big deal. And actually, I'm going to turn that switch around. That's okay. We're going to be going slow through here anyway. I'm going to turn these switches around real quick because this, I'm actually building it backwards. So we want a left-hand switch with a left-hand throw. And just like that, we have our clearance for the next line over. Let's go ahead and get our curve in here for our line back, for our merge back into the main line. And just like that, we're good. All right, so let's put our straight line in here, our straight track. Let's see what we get in terms of, yeah, that'll work. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it will work, and we can move it over to probably right about there. We'll split them out, or we'll spread them out a little bit. I think we'll see what we get. I think I will spread them out just a little. Come on, why do I have to be right on top of it? So I'm going to go in with a waster switch right here. That will get deleted. That will get deleted because I'm going in with the copy paste tool and we're just moving them over until they line up. And we're going to line them up perfectly because if we don't, there's a pretty good chance that the lines will interfere with the load lines, which they kind of do. All right, that's not too big of a problem. We can make that work. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my hill here till we get down to a decent spot. Put in a 1% grade until we get to a decent spot and then level it off. All right, I will be back when the sun comes back up. It's getting a little bit too dark to see. All righty, we are back, and I had a little bit of a thought about this, something I want to check real quick. I had a little bit of a thought about our little crossover loop here. Now, I'm probably going to end up doing this the smart way and throwing a switch in somewhere up here, probably right in here, to bring a third line over here so that we can just couple right into this portion of the loop, so that our supply trains that are coming from further north can just switch off from the bypass over to this portion of the line and not even interfere with main northbound traffic. But for now, we're going to keep working on the oil well here. I want to see if there's a way that we can get this done up in just such a way as we don't bury ourselves way through everything. So bring it down. 1% to right about here. Bring it down 0.5%. Let's just go ahead and level it off right there, because we still end up burying ourselves further out. Okay, let's just go right there. It's kind of weird that you got to go down and then back up, but yeah, whatever. It is what it is. Okay, let's see. Oh, I hate it when it does that. Can't see what I've clicked on. Copy, paste. There we go. Now we can see it. Now we can't. Good Lord. All right. So that's right there. It will get deleted. I'm only going to put it in here for the switch, which is a right-hand switch with a left-hand throw. And we're going to connect it up right there. Can't do that. Dang it. Forgot we did this backwards. Let's see if switches will work. That's pretty close. Needs to be pretty spot on though, but it's pretty close. Yeah, we can make that work. I know how we can make it work too. All right, let's get that. Bring it over and line it up. Great, we're not centered on our crosshairs. Okay, so you want right-hand switch with a right-hand throw. Put that in right there, and now it will be lined up. And do is this. Right-hand switch, doesn't matter the throw. Even though, well, yeah. See, we weren't that far off, but now we've got ourselves a good distance here that we can actually run a grade and it will actually work. How about that? So let's go ahead and run that up. There we go. And that will give us our, not only our grade, but our through line as well. Now we don't specifically need, well, let's just do this. Back up here where I can actually see it. We don't specifically need let's see if that actually nuts. Okay. We don't need this specifically need the through line. To connect in on this side because these are loading lines for the oil, but it's certainly not going to hurt us. Oh, why do we have to do it like this? Good Lord. Okay. Yep, that's off. Okay. Well, we'll just do it the hard way then. All the way back. Why we got to do things the hard way in this game, I don't know, but whatever. And we'll try and get it pretty close to even right there. So that's good. We know that's going to have to come out. That's going to come out. Maybe. Didn't make the noise. Oh, okay. Whatever. Didn't make the noise, but it worked. Okay. So we got that load line. We've got the two through lines. Let's do this here. Boink. We're good. Okay, so I think what I want to do on this one is we'll have the through line. We'll have it connect back in somewhere. Um, Probably before the loop connects back in. So that way we don't have very far to go to get the loop closed off. But I want to go ahead and run the loop around right now so that we actually know roughly where we can go, what we can do. It would help if I was in 10 grid marks instead of 1 so that we could actually get this thing run around. Now we kind of went a little bit deep into this alcove, but that's okay because we can make it work. We're on a slow, we're going to be on a slow line anyway because you don't want to go that fast around this loop to begin with, but we can make it work. Now that buries itself a little bit. So let's try that again. There we go. You can hear me clicking on it, I'm sure. But why I've got to be that close to it in order for it to disappear, I'll never know. But whatever. It is what it is. Looks like we should have just stayed with that. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. Actually going to straighten this back out for a little bit. Not very far, but a little bit. We don't want a continuous, I mean, it doesn't matter, but we don't really want to have too much of a continuous curve because I do plan to put a station in over here. And we're going to put it right in over here. And we're going to work our way back. Let's see if we can't make that happen. How about that? We can do it with a 70-meter curve. We do it with an 80. No, not easily. Might be able to. Let's try. No, we might be able to. Well, tighten it up just a touch. That'll work. Because we're going to come back around the other way. We're going to hug this hillside here as best we can. I'm going to go that quite that tight. Go to right about there. Yeah, that'll work. Because we can run this around. We'll actually since we've got our two lines over here, we'll actually curve it back around like so. And that won't be too bad. We may even be able to copy paste everything. So let's go ahead and try that. Hopefully that works because I don't want to have to run that all twice. Dang it. There we go. Being all herky jerky on me here. It's nice. Gosh dang it. There we go. Okay. So that works. Now, I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do this station. I'll be honest with you. Because we can't really... I mean, we could put the town in over here. We could put the town in back over in here, which is kind of the idea. We're going to put it in over here. And we'll just go ahead and copy and paste as much of this as we can. And hope it all works. Ah, boy. There we go. Say hope it all works because I'm not centered on the crosshairs, and it doesn't matter where I put the crosshairs, it's not centered. So I've got to use a combination of the mouse and the keyboard. Try and get everything lined up. There we go. Back over here, do it again. I don't know why I've got to be so dang close to everything to get it to click, but whatever. Let's try that again. There we go. This in. We should be just about there. Right there. Okay. About as far as we can get anyway. Okay. So put that one in. Go. Boy, if this doesn't make you look forward to the next map, I don't know what will. Look at all this sand. Okay. So that's about as far as we can go on this right now. So let's come back around here, check our track for rocks and trees. And apparently bushes as well. I think we're good. I think we're good. Good. That's wonderful. So we've got a little bit of an issue here with connecting up this uh, this line, but I do know how we can do this. Go ahead and I think we want a left-hand switch. Whoops. So we're going to go in with the left-hand switch with a right-hand throw. Get the right node here. And we do. Why does that not line up all of a sudden? I'm never going to understand that. Why didn't it line up? Oh well. I'll redo it. It's not a big deal. Put the switch back in and I'll make it line up, by God. All right. So we're going to put that one in And I think that one. That one was just a burner. We got to redo that. So let's this taken over. Put in our load line. We're going to do the same over here. And we're going to connect it in right here. It's not perfectly straight, but it will work. And we've got enough of a curve here. So we've got our load lines here. That will work. Let's cut out this bush. And that should work. And now we have plenty of working space for the yard that we can run into. We've got space over here. We've got space on this side of this oil well. I think that'll be fine. So we're going to have to splice in the load lines somewhere. These two will be spliced in probably fairly soon. Yeah, they'll probably be spliced in fairly soon thereafter. Let's see where we are in relation to our line here. Okay. The depot's right there. There's the wood cutter. There's the meat packing plant for reference. So take our line out. Probably the best thing to do would be to take it out around this hill, go in this little gully right here between this plateau and this little hill. Just go right in there and carry on around. Something else we could do is come out around here, just around this same hill, and out and around. Because our connection point is over here, if you remember. Over in this area somewhere. So it's fairly well a straight shot. And you can see kind of our loop here. There's the edge of the map, so it tells you how close we're getting. We're going to have to figure out a way to incorporate the yard and everything into it. It's probably going to go through one switch to start with, and then we'll split everything off. That won't be too difficult. But we've got to ensure that we've got enough of a run up for a minimum of 10 cars in either direction for the load and unload lines. Which the two lines going to the loading for the oil are on the inside lines. So whatever direction we come at it from, it's going to be connected into the center two lines when it's going to be connected to the inner line when they reconverge. Or before, rather. So that's not too big of an issue there. I'm not going to run a three-way. We're going to run two regular switches. And the reason I'm not doing anything right now is because it's getting ready to get dark out. And the unload line for all the supplies that the oil well needs is on the outside line, so that's not too big of a deal. We can connect that in after the split as we're leaving. So it'll be, we'll have a double cross, or we'll have a, yeah, a double crossover there, and then it'll split out, connect in. So that'll work like that. And I will try to get at least a little bit started here as we get down into the dark, but we may not. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and wait until it gets light out, and I will be right back. Alrighty, I am back, and it's just starting to get light out here, so we're going to go ahead and go right into building at least one of the main lines. I want to see if I can't get a good um, run out here. It looks like we may be able to just go right straight. Nope, we can't. Dang it. Okay. Let's see. How can we do this? How far over do we need to go? Not very. That's cool. All right. So we'll make this a nice gentle curve over here and bring it back right about there. And I think that will be plenty of distance that we can split that out with the main line. So let's go ahead and bring our line over. I think I'm going to go ahead and split it out up here. Like that thing to delete. So I'm actually going to do 2 switch lengths back from where that stops. So 1, and there's going to be where our switch is. So it works. All right. Dang it. Thank you. All right. So get that. Get our load line. I can go in and let's do this. I think that's right. Yes, it is. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that back up, or connect that up to the inbound. We'll do that. And we'll put our curve in here like it's supposed to be. And that will be our line in for the inbound goods. So I'm going to copy paste here, and we're going to try and get this to line up fairly close right there, and I will put that back in because as you saw, it's not exactly long enough. So we'll do that. And I wonder if it's going to line up. I just wonder if it's going to line up. So I'm going to do this temporarily. Whoop. Why? Didn't want to do that. I don't know why it decides it wants to do stuff like that. And it doesn't look like it's going to. Nope, it's not. It's going to be just off. Okay. Not a big deal. Now we know. So I'll go ahead and get that reconnected. So we cannot do a crossover in this center portion. Not with any degree of ease. So we've got that. Come back here. And we'll start our crossover right here. That will give us plenty of opportunity to get into and out of the yard. So that. think we want to do this here. I could be wrong. I probably am. Yep. Okay. So that didn't work. Not a big deal. Now see, basically what we're going for is the same. I get back over here to the right spot on the map, if it'll let me. We're doing basically the same thing as right here. Okay, we've got this loop here that we're running. This time we're not going to have a spur come or a offshoot come off of it, but we've got this right here that we're trying to do. So it's a lot more convoluted than you might think. Get rid of that. We know we're going to need to get rid of that. How did I do it? That's a good question, isn't it? How did I do this? Because I think I did this off camera. So let's do this. Left hand switch with a right hand throw. I think this is how I did it. And I could probably be very wrong in my assumption of how I did this. But we'll find out. There we go. That's not it. That's not right. Actually, that will work. Because that splits that back into two lines. Now we want the other side of the crossover. No, we don't. We don't want that. Okay, so that will work. This is actually a lot simpler, I think, than the left-hand switch to the left-hand throw. I think this might be actually a lot simpler than the one up at the wheat farm. For the plain and simple fact that we've only got two tracks splitting out, and we only have two tracks to deal with. Now where it gets complicated, where it's going to get complicated, is up here at the yard, where we need a further two tracks for the load line and the exit line for the yard itself. Let's see where that leaves us. Okay. That didn't quite line up, but we can make that happen. That's where we want to go. Just leave that straight because we're going to connect up to this one right here. And there's our through lines. Get rid of all these rocks so we don't have a derailment later. These are some very lively rocks. They just like to jump all over the place. Gee, many Christmas. Boing. Okay, that's nice. That rock don't want to leave. That's going to be fun. Well, hopefully we can make that work. Because we go right past it. Yep. All right. Well, we should be okay. That's on the outside of the line. That irritates me to no end. Can't get rid of that kind of thing. What if we can get rid of that one? Nope, we can't. All right. Hopefully there's no hitbox on them. Otherwise, we're going to be in a world of hurt because we can't get rid of them. So our next goal, now that we have this, we'll finish off this crossover here in a minute. Our next goal is to split this line out. So we want a left-hand switch with a left-hand throw, just like that. And we want to reverse that. So we want a right-hand switch with a left-hand throw. There we go. So that's pretty close to what we're after. Yeah, that's pretty close to what we're after. I could probably move this switch here up a little bit. But it's not really all that important. We want as much run up as we can get. In fact, what I could and should probably do is this. Rid of this. And go in with one switch's length. Go in like that. That's not going to work. Leave it alone if it works the first time, I guess. These dang controls, I'm telling you. All right. This back on. Go. We will right-hand switch, left-hand throw. Throw that in there. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to go with a left-hand switch with a left-hand throw and throw that in there. And we'll come off of this switch here, split it again, and go for those two load lines, so that they are immediately on the outbound. So let's get rid of that. Rocks as we need to. So let's come up here. Okay. Let's just see where we end up. Give ourselves a straight as possible run up here. It's nice. Okay. No, it doesn't look like we're going to get that straight of a run up. So we can fudge it a little bit. Do this. Okay. Left-hand switch with a left-hand throw. And I will come back and do that other side here in a second, because we want to be able to put our hill in. These little rocks concern me because they're not coming out. Okay, so our left-hand switch back in here for our curvature later. In fact, we really don't even need it because over here. That'll be all right. Well, that'll be all right because we're gonna leave that split in. It's all going to the same place, so I could make that even more convoluted than it already is, and it would work probably just as well. I don't like that. There we go. And that looks even better. Okay. So yeah, I could probably leave that. I could probably uh, split that into the line over here, and it would probably look just as well. In fact, let's do this. Let's see what we can do about doing this here, making it look halfway decent. So if I do it right, so if I go the right direction, if I do it right, there we go. I can actually split right off of here, since it's really going right into the same place anyway. Why don't I break down and use a three-way switch like I was trying not to do? Actually, try not to do something hard enough and you're going to end up doing it anyway. So there we go. That break doesn't line up. How about that? That's all right. We can do that again for a third time, right? Okay, let's come back over here. Da-da, da-da, and da-da. Okay. So 9 times out of 10, unless we have to pull these load lines through, which you shouldn't have to unless you're going backwards, this switch will always be set out toward the outbound side of the loop, which is actually going to cause a problem because we have made no accommodation for our yard. Wonderful. All right. So we want a right-hand switch with a left-hand throw. Hopefully this will work the way I want it to. I need another one right here. And then one more right here for a curve. Get rid of all these rocks that we can. These little ones kind of bug the ever-loving stink out of me. Because you can't get rid of them like you can with the big ones. Alright, so there's our inbound for the yard. And we're gonna do something with that here in a little bit. And then we're gonna call this episode done. But for now, we're gonna take and we're going to come over here. And we're probably going to end up redoing that a little bit. Because we're cutting it real close over here. So let's see. Yeah, we're cutting it real close right there. So go to right about there. We're going to come back around. We're going to actually straighten it up right here for the duration of this oil well. Yep, we're going to come back around. And we're going to connect it up over there at some point. But we've got to figure out how to do that first. So, didn't leave us quite as much room for our yard as we thought, but we can still make it work by Oh, that's nice, actually. Let's see. How well does it? Well, we can't. Dang it. Where can I hook this up? Right there. Let's do that. All right. That, do that. Rid of that. Rid of that. And that works. Okay. So we'll do that. That's our line out. Get rid of all these scrubs here. I don't know what these are supposed to represent. Maybe aloe vera, but or some sort of aloe, or maybe agave. I don't know. Oh, shoot. Did I really? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. About had a heart attack. Can't use that one in the desert. Get our 1 meter ballast. There's our curve. That's what had me worried. So, let's go. Actually, let's do this number here. We're going to come over here, and we're going to copy paste over here where we can actually see where we're at. 1 point there. If we can't get it to line up like that. Whoa. We're going to keep doing that till we get over where we need to be, and then hook it up. Come on, game. Camera, game, combination of both. Just like that. Okay. So we got 1 more, 2 more, something like that we've got to do. There we go. Thank you. And just like that. Now we can connect it up because we're right there. Cannot use that one in the desert. Can't use it really anywhere on this map. Just like that. Okay. It's not perfectly straight, but it works. Whoops. All right. So, whoops. Let's come up here. And we are about done with today's build. So we'll probably have another 2 episodes of build uh, planned for this season. Back to back, I should say. We're gonna have 3 of these back to back because honestly, I miss building on this line a little bit, and I'm tired of running. So I need a bit of a change. So what we want to do is we're gonna come out, and right about here, we're gonna split, and we're gonna take our yard over here, and we're gonna have it come off, and it's gonna run the length, and we're gonna have our locomotive services over in this area. And we've got our straight track right here that what we can do just right now is we can put in platform or 2 or 5 depending on how much we need. And we can't put in a pedestrian bridge, which really kind of sucks because we need one in this case. But that's no big deal. So let's see if we can't make this line up here. There we go. Right there. Flip it around. There we go. And we're going to come down over here. Preferably. I'm going to do this a little bit strangely, but it'll work. Turn the sensitivity on my mouse down so I can make it work. And we'll get as many of these in here as we can. Looks like that's going to be the only one. So do it this way then. Turn the sensitivity on my mouse back up so I can actually move my mouse. Okay, come here back to our platforms, get the one without the stairs this time. And see what we can do about lining it up. There we go. And naturally it didn't line up. Dang it. Let's try that again. This is what I don't like about these decorations is that they tend to not place exactly where you place them. And it got dark out. Okay. Well, there's a pretty good chance that we're going to be stopping here very soon, just in case it gets a little too dark to see. But we'll make it happen one way or another. There we go. Let's see if we can get this connected in and have it look halfway decent. There we go. And then we're going to come over here with our platform with the stairs again. There we go. And it's going to be a little bit odd with the curve going in toward it, unless I can get some. There we go. Yeah, we can make it happen. Hey, that was a good transition, wasn't it? We didn't lose very much light. Dang it. Well, that worked actually. Didn't work perfectly, but it worked enough that we're going to call it good. Now I'm going to get rid of these because we don't need those there. So there's our platform. Now we're not going to lose it. Now we're not going to get, it's not going to get in our way. We know where it's at. That's where the city's going to end up going. It's going to break its way off over here, I think. Maybe go a little over here, but ultimately it's going to be the main portion of the yard is going to be over in here, and we're going to have our locomotive services somewhere in here. So it's just going to be kind of everything all at once. So let's go ahead, and I will probably do some of that in the next episode. I'm not going to try and go for all of it. I'm kind of running short on time today as it is. But we'll get there when we get there, and it will look, I hope, at least halfway decent. So, why are we lagging all of a sudden? It doesn't make any sense. Oh well. Well, let's see if we can straighten that out, and it'll be, yeah, it's still going in toward. I don't think in the next map we're going to have quite as intricate a track work as we've got now. I'm not immediately convinced that this is all right. That's not going to work. Straight piece here. Oh, come on. That's why. Okay. That would be why it wasn't working quite right. Okay, so there's going to be our line. I had it on the wrong increment setting. So there we've got that. That will give us plenty of room to start expanding out for our yard. So let's go ahead and do just that. There we go. We'll go to right about there. And we'll go in with a left-hand switch with a left-hand throw because we don't really have all that much room. And that's not going to work. Okay, so I need to shorten this up a little bit. So I'm going to come up maybe right about there. See if that'll make the difference. It'll make quite a bit of difference, but it's still too long. Okay. So, this. Oops. Left-hand switch, left-hand throw. We'll just go right there. That might work. So we've got to wait until we get past this oil derrick to actually start switching out our stuff. So that won't be too hard to manage. It's not what I wanted. There. God. There. All right. So let's come to right about there. Let's do that. Right hand switch with a right hand throw. Perfect. That works just perfectly. And we want to reverse that, so we want a left hand switch with a right hand throw. That works. And that. And that. So that'll give us a little bit. That may change. We may reverse the order there. So that'll work. Let's see if we can't make these curves match fairly closely here. Actually have to go straight through here until we get past that last switch so that we actually have camera, so that we actually have our curvature right. Well, actually, I think what we can do is we can use that. Yeah, why don't we do that? Okay. So let's go right to about there. Thought process at work. Right about there. That's a little too close to that line, though. Dang it. Would have looked nice. It would have looked really nice if I'd been able to do that. All right. So let's go ahead and actually reverse the order here. That would have looked really nice if I was able to do that. So let's see. Oops. Right hand switch, right hand throw. Right hand switch, left hand throw. That. And like that. And then we're going to break a little bit. We're going to come over here and reverse the order. So that one's not too close yet. Okay. 20 ought to work. Let's see if we can't. Yeah. Okay. So we will do that, and we'll come to right about there, and we'll reverse the order. Let's right hand switch, let right hand throw. Say, do we keep it or no? I don't think so. Right hand switch, left hand switch, right hand throw. Right hand switch, left hand throw. Had it right the first guess. Two. And that one will start on a, that's way too close. I was going to say that one we will start on a curve, but we're not going to do that. And I really can't put a three-way switch in anywhere because of the clearance issues that we've got. So we'll start back here and we'll work ourselves a curve on this last one right here. Preferably the other direction. And we're not going to make this super long. We just need enough storage for mainly for oil tankers and whatever we have on the side. If we store consist over here, or if we have it waiting to go back toward the industries it came from originally. Okay. So let's see. That's going to be fun. I didn't check to see what length or what curve that was. So we're going to guesstimate here. And hope that's right. It's pretty close. Pretty close. Not bad for eyeballing. Okay, let's actually go past it and make it right. Okay. Now let's do this the right way. Yep. Perfect. Almost like it was meant to happen. Okay. So that'll work, and we can actually put another switch in there and start in with a couple of more. So we'll do that here in a second. Go up to here. We'll fix that when we get to it. We're just going to copy and paste and line it up. Just like that. All right. So there's three sightings down. Get rid of this cactus. I like cactus as much as I like trees. In fact, about the only two things I can grow is hot peppers and succulents and cactus. I mean, cactus and succulents are roughly about the same thing, so I group them all together. I know they're not the same thing, but they're pretty close. So I can actually do one of these numbers here, maybe. Would come off far enough. Which we don't right now, but we will here in a second. Let's see. Let's do about there. Left hand switch, left hand throw. Bada bing, bada boom. That's too close. Dang it. Okay. There. Put this back in. We're going to come out a little further. About there. Let's see if that'll work. Left hand switch, left hand throw once again. That's too far out, but it works better. So Let's see roughly where we need to be. Put it in right there for stupid as that looks at the moment, because nothing ever works right in this game, I guess. Make that happen just for reference. We will do that and get rid of this wonky A. I almost said it. I almost said it. This is a family-friendly show here. We can't be saying words like that. All right. So right hand switch, left hand throw. We're just reversing the order. And we're going to put in 2, 3. Let's go ahead and do one more. 4. These are all going to be straight, except for this last one, which is obviously going to curve around a little bit. So we've got this here, and that's perfectly acceptable right there. Perfectly acceptable. I may even be able to work something in to make that, to fill in that gap a little bit, but that's perfectly acceptable right there. So we're going to do that, and hopefully I didn't get too close here, and I did. So take care of that. Actually, yeah. I'm up to right about here. That way I know I'm short enough. Yeah, that'll work. All right. I'm actually going to redo these just a little bit so I can extend them out a little bit, but not by much. Not by much. And I'm actually going to redo those entirely, and we'll make that work. That's not anything to be really concerned about. We can make that happen. It'll look better than what it did. So we've got that. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that switch and that pile of rocks. I hope that pile of rocks. Oh, great. I hate that. All right, let's try this. Yeah, see, that's why I don't like that. You can't get rid of them. Unless maybe you can. Nope, can't get rid of them. Dang it. Well, I guess we don't get that. I guess we don't get that sighting. Oh well. Nice to have a dream, right? Okay. So, same story as always. 1 meter ballast, straight track. Roughly about as far as you can get it without interfering with anything. Going with our bumper. Since we're right on flat ground anyway, we really don't need any ballast under it. It'll probably make it look better, but I'm not going to worry about it. So let's go ahead and back in with our 1 meter ballast, and boom, just like that. Now let's see what we can do about making this look better, because I know we can. Okay. Go right down to 90. That. Let's see if we can't straighten it up now. We can. Perfect. There we go. We'll go right to there so we can just run our switches. So we want a right hand switch with a right hand throw, just right off the bat. Boom. Nuts. All right, so that's not going to happen. Let's try this. Left hand switch with a right hand throw because we've got the clearance. Yeah, that'll work. And then right hand switch, right hand throw. Boom, like that. Nope, that's still too far. So left hand switch, left hand or right hand throw. Let's continue on with that. And now we can swap over. I'm keeping an eye on those rocks, is what I'm doing. So essentially, this last one's going to continue on straight, but the one coming off of it's going to curve. So it's going to actually give it a little bit of a interesting look to it. It's not going to be stupidly perfect, but it'll work. And hopefully our track laying will actually make it look decent. So that's going to be a little bit further out in terms of angle. Yeah. So I think what we can try and do here is this. Let's go in with a right hand switch, left hand throw. We're just going to put in a couple of short switches. We're not, or short sightings. We're not going to break the budget here, as if we haven't already. And do this number. And try and even it up just about as even as we can. Go in with our bumper stop, and boom, we're done. Right there, that works. Now, those aren't going to give us a whole lot of room to maneuver, but they'll do the job. And, if I'm not mistaken, which I probably am, hey, would you look at that? We've got room to maneuver. So let's go ahead and leave that right there. And we will curve this around. And bring it almost right in line. Let's just give it a fair shout there and see what it looks like. That's pretty close, isn't it? All right. There we go. So we will line up that that curve right there that we just made so that all of our track goes in the same direction. There. At least on this portion. So we will bring our track in just enough that it works. It's going to be, oh, that's close enough. How do you like that? That's close enough. We could probably put one more in right there, but that's already kind of pushing it. Nah, we'll see. We'll see. I know these are all going to get progressively shorter as we go on anyway, so. I mean, it's just going to be what it's going to be. They're going to get progressively shorter because we're running into the curve on the loop. So right about there, put our stop in. It's about the right distance. Yeah, that looks good. So let's put in one more just for giggles here. You know what I wanted to say, but I'm not going to say it. Yeah, see, that's just pushing it way too short. Um, that switch in there is just for the curve. So, whoops. Let's go ahead and put this in. And we got to cut it a little bit shorter, so we'll do that. Get rid of the switch. Just like that. All right. Now we got one more bumper stop to do. Dar dar, just like that. And you can see it kind of runs right in line. We just had to watch out for those rocks over there, which is why they're split up so far apart. It's kind of stupid to me that they won't come out of there, but whatever. It is what it is. In fact, we can even do this. It's gonna seem fairly stupid, but it's not really. Right hand switch, right hand throw, boom. And we want this just for our curve, boom. And we're nowhere near those rocks, and we've got yet another sighting. How would you look at that? And we can actually come up a little bit further on this one. So we're going to redo that bumper stop too. Just like that. Let's get rid of this switch, put our curve in. Ta-da. We're nowhere near those rocks now. And it even looks halfway decent. So let's go ahead and put that in. And our bumper stop. And would you look at that? Oh, I love it when things work out right. They don't always, but I love it when they do. And given that we had to do what we had to do over here because of the rocks, I'm not going to worry too much about this gap here. So, especially not considering that we've got more lines to run here. So let's see. We're just going to run it up here so that we can match it up with this curve, because the curve is going to be the same for the duration. Just like that, of however many more sightings we put in. And I'm thinking we could probably get one or two more in here. So let's see. Left hand switch, left hand throw. Yep, I think we could probably get one more in. So let's do that just for a curve there. Ta-da! That works just about perfect. And let's see if this curve lines up here. It should. It's pretty close. Yeah. There we go. And we'll call that good enough. It's probably going to look a little odd in terms of spacing, and it does. But that's okay. We'll make that work here in a minute. Actually, let's do this. Let's just make it right now. Yeah, it's all right. It's fine the way it is, I guess. It's a little bit wider than the rest of them, but if I'm not worried about that kind of gap, I'm not going to worry about any of the others. So let's come up here, stop a little bit short so we can actually put our bumper stop in without fouling the line. Just like that. And that works. Actually got a lot more yardage in here than I thought we would. Okay, so we'll do that again. This is going to be the last one on this side. And since it's so much tighter here, we actually have to cut it way shorter. I'm going to see if that's about right. So we've got all that. That's a pretty decent little yard right there. And we've still got three more sidings that we can put in. Actually, we got a lot more sidings that we can put in. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I think those all reverse order. Yep, pretty much. All right. So these sidings put in real quick, and I will get back with you when they're done. Alrighty, I am back, and those actually got a little bit closer to the platform than I was expecting to, but that's all right. We'll make that work, and it'll look halfway decent. We'll run the town over in that area. So we're actually going to not bring the locomotive facilities quite as far out as that. I think what we're going to do is we're going to have to put in a long siding for coal, naturally. Looks like we're getting ready to have a sandstorm here, so I'm going to probably go ahead and end this episode here. But we're going to have a long enough siding for coal. So it may end up coming clear out here, but my idea is to put the roundhouse in this area right in here, uh, and then have the sand, water, and coal and wood facilities all in this area, maybe a little bit further out. It just depends on where everything lands. Um, but we will do that in the next episode, guys. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode today. If you liked the if you liked what you've seen here today, leave a like and comment down below. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you didn't like. What you think I could do better. Um, Give me suggestions for the next build episode. I read my comments as often as I can. Okay, it may be a day or two late, but for whatever reason, YouTube only notifies me on one page versus another. It's a convoluted mess. But I do read you guys' comments. You can see I reply to as many of them as I can. Um, so give me suggestions. Where do you guys think I should be going next with the line going over to the refinery? Do you think that ought to be a branch that just goes right over there? Do you think I can break it off of the main line here and have it go through there? What do you guys think? Um, if you want to see these videos when they come out, be sure to subscribe, because for some reason the Railroads Online videos are not getting very much attention. I'm not by any manner or means planning to end this series. This series is going to go on for a while. I'm absolutely loving this game. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback on it, and it's just it overall it's a really fun game to play. Um, but if you guys want to get notified about these videos, you got to subscribe. So with that, I want to say thank you guys again, and I will see you on the next one.